Hi guys, I felt compelled today to make this video about what's been happening over the last few days, both in the US and Canada. There has been a spate of shootings in the US and a spate of reported threats of shootings in Canada. And I think it's important that we look at the timing of these events. In the US, President Biden has been trying to pass strict gun legislation, and now Prime Minister Trudeau is also attempting to pass draconian gun legislation with the removal of all handguns. And I think it's important to understand that this is not just about the passing of gun legislation. They are trying to take away our children. It's as simple as that. If you look at these reports in Canada of these threats of shooting, the people who are making the threats their names are never reported. These are just media created narratives in order to support Trudeau's gun legislation. But more importantly than that, it's always at schools. So it's going to be a double positive for our tyrannical governments. Not only are they going to remove our means of protecting ourselves and our families, but they're going to also have reason to pass strict legislation to quote unquote protect our children, which means less authority for the parents to decide for the well-being of their children, and more power for the government to decide based on these false narratives of these threats of shooting. Now, I'm not saying that the shootings in the US didn't occur. Sure, they occurred, but let's take a look at some of these shootings in the US. The one which happened in the supermarket, that was a trained individual. That 18-year-old knew what he was doing. He handled a firearm like a trained military soldier. He reloaded quickly. He shot double rounds in succession, quick succession. He knew how to handle the trigger of the firearm. This 18-year-old, I'm not sure where he got his training from, but this was not some kid who was, a gun enthusiast. This was a trained person. So how did an 18-year-old get so trained and decide to shoot up this supermarket? And in Canada, these reports of children threatening to shoot a school, these children are never even named. And all of a sudden, all these schools in the region of where this supposed threat occurred are on lockdown. Kids are going like, why are we allowing this to happen? We should be questioning the media to be giving us more details as to exactly who these people are, what school they are threatening to shoot, and to actually have a trial before we allow the governments to be locking down our kids in our schools. Now, people might say, well, we have to take precaution if there's a threat. Okay, that's fair enough, but we also have to balance that with truth in reporting. If it's just a media-created narrative, where the media is, and obviously the media is controlled by the government at this point, there's absolutely no doubt. If the government is enticing the media to create these narratives where they're creating these stories of threats of shootings, not even actual shootings, but threats of shootings in order to allow the government a pretext to go in and start shutting down schools, thereby creating even more legislation for them to control children, then we have a problem. So I think it's important that we start asking these difficult questions. We didn't ask them in COVID, and we all know how that turned out. Now they're coming out with this monkeypox nonsense. Everyone is doubting that situation. So let's not allow them now to jump onto the shooting bandwagon where they can reroute their efforts to take more control over our lives. Start asking the serious questions. Okay, thanks. Ciao.